have chapters with which we are affiliated in Manhattan, Westchester, Brooklyn, Queens, and Mid-Hudson Valley. Hi.
Berenice is here.
And today we are looking at the climate issues from the standpoint of the Universal Periodic Review, which basically means knowing about what's happening in the United States for climate and letting the world know the good things that are happening and the things that need work. So there we are. Now we'd like to go around the room and introduce people. So if you don't mind.
Sure. Hello, I'm Berenice Tompkins, and I'm very sorry for being a little bit late, but I work with Climate Stories Project, which is focused on giving a human face to climate change, and we seek to amplify personal stories of how people in the US and also internationally are being impacted by climate change. And we also have an education program where we have students and young people interview people in their communities or people they know about how they're experiencing climate change locally. And we collaborate with artists and musicians as well sometimes. So we're focused on kind of the more personal, oral histories and looking at climate change from a more human perspective.
Hi everyone, my name is Leah Chiron. I am the Assistant Deputy Director for Policy at the New York City's Mayor's Office for Sustainability, which means that I oversee policy development to mitigate climate change throughout New York City. I led the development of the city's latest climate action plan to align the city's goals with the Paris Agreement, which is very exciting. I've also been very involved with UNA-USA over the years. I was on the board of the Southern New York State chapter for some time. I also was a co-chair of UNA Women, so very happy to be invited and to be with you today.
Hi, my name is Corinne Whitaker. It's quite daunting to be in the company of people who have so much climate experience to bring and share. And cities are certainly where it's at. I'm actually a member of UNA Southern New York State Division and secretary with 2 sets of minutes not yet produced. But my area of expertise is actually gender, girls empowerment and health, with primarily an international focus, but that links to broader issues, and have done some work around issues in Haiti on sustainable energy, supporting Public-Private Alliance Foundation, and then also with ARC Finance, which looks at issues of microfinance for access to solar and sustainable energy, which demonstrated to me that climate can be a very male-dominated universe, and that has an impact in terms of the voices and the stories that are shared. I think that's this table is demonstration of that it's less that way than it's ever been, and so that's a good sign.
I'm Peg Shannon. I'm at the Southern Division. I'm the Advocacy Vice President. But I belong to the Queens Committee, and we have had an Earth Day event every year for the past 10 years, I guess, and we just had ours on Sunday at the Queens Museum. And it was really fascinating. We had a sort of a call and response, young people asking for us to do something about climate change, and then people speaking about what we are going to do about it. Unfortunately, New York is doing things about it. We had someone from the U.S. Climate Alliance who talked about what the state is doing, and the very next day they said no more offshore drilling in New York now. And then we also had Ross McWhinney from Leah's group who spoke about what New York City is doing, as well as the councilman who had that Climate Mobilization Act passed last Thursday. He's a very good speaker also, Costa Antonides. So it was really a very informative, so I hope we'll be able to continue to do that kind of thing, particularly get the kids involved. They're going to make us move.
Yeah, they are. So I'm Marcia Brewster. I'm from the UNA Westchester chapter. I'm on the National Council of UNA-USA. but when Corinne was speaking, it reminded me that I worked at the UN for 30 years in the area of water resources, and so after I retired, I was doing a lot of consulting work, and one thing I was doing was gender studies, and I did a gender study of the Global Environment Facility, and they have zero concern for gender. They think climate change is not a gender issue, just to let you know. But anyway, so I'm interested in water, gender, and sustainable development.
Hi everyone, my name is Ryan. I'm the policy advisor for human rights at UNA-USA. I am the farthest thing you can imagine from a climate expert, so I'm really happy you're here. We're connecting Americans and others in the US across the country to the UN for the Universal Periodic Review, which we'll learn about in a second, but it's essentially what George just said. It's about understanding what's happening here in the United States, making an impact on that through the UN. So I'm really, really glad you're here, and if you need anything, if you're uncomfortable, if you have any complaints, any recommendations, any compliments, please go to me. But thank you to the New York State Southern Division, because they did all the work in organizing this, and really glad you're here. Thank you.
I'm Tim Weiskel. I've come down from Boston this morning to share some thoughts and updates on what I know about, which is very partial, but it's edgy, I think.
Good afternoon, my name is Malika Carteron. I am currently the CEO of Global 25. My focus is on environmental justice, social justice. I have a background in marine and environmental science. When I lived in California, I did research on the distribution of toxic release inventory sites as it related to the housing ratings back in the 50s and the 60s. About 5 years ago, I participated at the Queens Chapter Earth Day and presented on how to build a sustainable society. Most recently, I participated on UC 37's Earth Day, where Costa also was part of the sponsors. And at that one, I focused primarily on STEAM and making sure that everybody is involved from the youth all the way up, and the different ways to engage via the arts and also other factors like that, but also making sure that the science is incorporated. And I believe if you engage the children at an early age and they understand about the climate and the environment, they become lifelong participants in action to make sure that it's sustainable.
Hi, my name's Courtney Williams. I'm from Peekskill, New York. I sit on the city's Conservation Advisory Council, but I kind of got there through grassroots community organizing around the Algonquin pipeline expansion, which runs under Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant. And through that it's kind of a microcosm of what we're doing wrong as a state and as a nation. So that kind of expanded not only in doing direct action, civil disobedience around that, but to co-found a nonprofit to basically fund the legal challenge and help other communities. It's called Safe Energy Rights Group, to help other communities that are endangered by energy infrastructure. My day job is as a scientist. I'm a cancer researcher, but my not free time is spent doing all of this kind of stuff.
We forgot somebody.
Oh, I'm so
Oh
sorry.
no, I was just filming.